What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Happier, Healthier Arkansas podcast hosted by the Specific Chiropractic Centers. I'm Dr. Cam.
And I'm Dr. Chris, and we just want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, and thank you for joining us on our mission towards making Arkansas the happiest and healthiest state on the planet. Good day, good morning, afternoon, evening to those tuning in to this next episode of Happier, Healthier Arkansas. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Brown, brain-based chiropractor located at the Specific Chiropractic Centers in Little Rock. And today, got a very, very potent conversation coming your way. Really excited to nourish you all with some reflections upon how the year has been and what people are working through transitioning into a new school year. I got with me a very, very good friend, the Specific Barber, but formerly known as the Elite Barber, Jesus Gamez, two-time Happier Healthier Arkansas veteran, and very, very excited for what we have on deck today because it's literally no script. There's nothing that has been pre-planned because our conversations that we have, whether it's in your barber chair or whether it's at your house doing a cold plunge like last week, even just my apartment this morning, even just literally now 5 minutes before, dude, they're nuggets. Everything is just nuggets. It's all perspective. It's all awareness. And that's why I really wanted this to be a very organic conversation, no script, just two men talking about what's been going on in life, what they're working through. And I think that's really where people can truly resonate.
Yeah.
In terms of this episode, the flavor of this episode, it's real, it's raw, it's organic. It's like Trader Joe's. Today's a Trader Joe's episode. So you've been going through a lot of transition in your life right now. We have a new family member as of a month ago.
Yeah.
Month old.
Yep. It's July 12th.
July 12th, so month plus 5-6 weeks, which is incredible. Been hustling. You're now doing in-house calls.
In-house calls.
Which you're going all over from Benton to Little Rock to Conway, Cabot, also transitioning, moving out of a house into a new home. So much transition going on in life. And just what would have been some of the lessons? What are you working on? What are you working through? What are you working for?
Well, man, this is a three-time. This is my
snap.
third
I
time.
messed up.
Third time. Cam also interviewed me, we spoke, and so this is my third time, man.
Okay.
I'm a veteran,
Cool.
true
Yeah,
veteran.
yeah.
No, but
Come on.
no, man. Yeah, I mean, it's been like a rebirth almost. I remember watching The Dark Knight, and how he had to go through those wild times where he was killing it. He was the Batman, and then everyone was against him, and then he had to go back to the journey and back to try and do something that had only been done once by a child.
Back to purpose.
Back to purpose, and so I feel as if I'm going backwards, so that the next time there is a fall, or next time there is someone who is falling, I can at least help them look up towards their purpose, where it is we are to go, rather than thinking like that's a long way down.
Right.
And so, I've had a lot of success. I've actually, through this transition, I've gone out of my suite from the promenade, and I have been able to thrive much more through the stress, through the transition, than I ever did in my entire life. I have prospered through it financially, but it's taken a toll, a good toll. I feel there's good tolls in life, except if you go through Houston, might not have some good tolls there, man. They're probably going to charge you a lot. But man, this toll that our family's taken in, I've got my oldest son, Brentley, he's 6 now. They all leveled up in July. 6, my wife turned a certain age, probably can't say it out loud. We're going to say 21.
Hey, there you go.
But, and
Keep it
then
safe.
my youngest, second middle child, Emmanuel, he is 2 now. And then my daughter, Hazel. So all in July.
Wow.
And
Wow.
July,
The whole family?
The whole family. So not only did we all level up in July, but I took a step back while they're going forward but it's allowed me to see them from a different perspective of, okay, our communication is changing, and it has to change because we're changing, we're evolving. So because of that, it's allowed me to help my clients, my customers with communication. I've communicated in a way I've never communicated before.
Elaborate on that.
So in the past, I had so many people bombard me, my phone. I used my personal phone, which is a no-no. Don't ever use your personal phone for business. But I'm learning the hard way, and I've adjusted, take it in. But I used to not even be able to get back to people because I felt like it was too much. I was so busy. Not really, but I chose to use my work as an excuse to not get back with people or only get back to certain people. Now I get to choose the people that I work with completely.
Right.
And it's just like flowing. Like anytime I'm around them, they're like, man, I appreciate you getting back with me so soon.
Yeah.
Because I know in the past, it would take me that much more longer. And so communication, because with my family, it's like, okay, why are we saying these things? Why are we doing these things?
Like patterns.
And so because of it, I've acknowledged my own patterns. It's like, well, it really starts with me.
Right.
And if I can't get me right, am I communicating with myself right? Am I communicating with God right? If those two aren't on point, then there's no way that I could ever talk with my family the way that I wish to see them, because I'm not even seeing myself that way.
So it's almost like instead of taking an evaluation of the conversations that are actually been playing out, not necessarily the actual time interval between interacting with people, but the bulk, the soil of the conversation, the grounds of it. Then being on that third party observation seat of actually just being objective with the conversation, saying, okay, how did this go? How's the tone of it? How's the energy of it? The frequency of it? And then if it's not there, if it's not the way that maybe it was envisioned of being, instead of pointing fingers and pointing energy and blame at the person to thus justify whatever's in your head, it's almost like taking an evaluation, taking a stock of, okay, where is that coming up internally when I'm not in that situation, not in that space? That's what needs to get cleared up first. Interesting. So what's been the types of conversation or communication? What's been the forms of communication?
So I remember, I think it was either with you or with Cam, and I apologize, I can't remember which one it was, but I remember saying that the only reason why I'm as good as I am as a barber is because I first take everything that I do with my family and then apply it into my skill. And so because I'm mastering my skill, it's only because I'm getting much, much better at being a husband, father, brother, son, friend, acquaintance. And so all of that kind of revolves with being a barber. And so you're gonna have to ask me again because I'm a little bit sleep deprived here, but.
Right, so, I mean, talk about like, we were just talking about flow. We were just talking about flow and how there are areas that might be receiving not the attention or intention, but that is allowing for overflow somewhere else.
This is an example here. So communication, right? Communication seems to be very, very important to me right now. Like my son.
Right.
Earlier we were having a conversation off camera where my son spoke to me a certain way during a house call. We were at work. He was at work with me.
So you were at someone else's house?
Yeah, someone else's car shop.
Okay.
It was in his shop. He wanted it done
That's cool.
over there. And it was the second time we had come back. I'm now making my way back to the houses. You know, I went through that the first time. Now we're revisiting. And my son spoke to me a certain way. And I knew that he only was reflecting somebody else in my life. That they're around a lot. And so I thought, if you're only reflecting what you see, how can I really be upset with you? How can I blame you for that when you're 6 years old?
Right.
You know, is it really your fault? It is your choice to speak to me that way, which there is some correction with that. But am I to unleash what I want to unleash on you when it really doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to practice self-control a lot with my clients, because I've practiced self-control with my son, where I'll even catch it and I'll apologize to him. Like, I'm sorry that I even spoke in that way to you. I'm sorry that I even worded it that way. And he's starting to catch on, like, whoa, he even took a step back, and he'll hug me and tell me he loves me for even sharing that with him. You know, maybe he doesn't understand it the way that I would want him to, but I'm going to treat him as if he does, so that one day it might click that that's exactly why my dad told me that. And so with whoever's hair I'm cutting, it's that if there's any reason that there's a miscommunication or an apology, it's like, man, life happens. Like we couldn't control it. And if it was our fault, man, I forgive you. Because I hope you would forgive me too.
Right.
Because I'm in the business of long-term relationships with people. I've spoken to you before how barbers took care of kings. It's the second oldest profession behind prostitution, which I'm not going into that one. But, you know, barbers took care of kings, pharaohs, the highest of highs. Hair was status. Hair had everything to do with identity. And so
changes your whole energy, your whole ambiance of who you are. It's a reset.
There's cultures with massive beards. There's cultures with braids. There's cultures, the Vikings with how they look. You know, you can look at someone and you can tell, are they ready for battle or are they not? You can tell if I know when I'm not kept up, I feel like I'm not ready to go. I want to put a hat on and hide. You know, and when I have a cut, I'm ready for battle. I'm ready to attack every single thing I need to. And if I fail, I'm like, all right, just keep going.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Completely. On the attack. It's like, how many of us are letting the day just happen? How many of us are letting the time just tick and talk, and yet we're being passive with our time and our attention and intention, and not actually attacking? And you can't really attack if you don't have a plan. None of us really plan or act proactively. Now I'm starting to think about 7 Agreements. Things that have come to my head has really been books. It's been Crucial Conversations, because they're talking about communication forms. It's probably the next book that I read. About to wrap up 4 Agreements, in which case for like son. So the first chapter of the 4 Agreements, it talks about the dream. 4 Agreements is a book written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and the 4 Agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And really, it's always do your best to uphold the other 3, but it's acknowledging that it's not going to be 100% of the time you will always be impeccable. You will always never take anything ever personally again. You will never ever make an assumption again. And so that chapter really highlights the fact that you can't set those expectations on yourself, but you're going to do your best to do them. But the first chapter talks about the dream of the planet, the dream of humans, in which case, when we're born into the world, we don't necessarily have a choice to create our reality. It's our parents' realities who are around. Whatever they think is real and not real, that's what gets taught in the household and groomed. And then the child, when they're 4, 5, 6, that's when they're unapologetically themselves due to innocence. In which case they're challenging everything that the parents. I'm telling my kid, hypothetically speaking, I don't have a kid. Tell my kid, go do the dishes. He's going to say, no, I don't want to. Or he's going to say, why? Why do I have to do it? He's challenging everything because they're through innocence. They're going to say anything they want to do. They're going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to be goofy. They're unfiltered. And then it goes in on how either through our parents, as kids get older, then we might have to start curbing, filtering behaviors because you're a certain age, or going to public schools and having other kids impose their realities onto them because of what their parents have imposed onto them. Now there's going to start being these social changes and filters. The book calls them chains, and it's agreements you make with yourself. Like if I told you, like maybe let me think. You're my dad. You're my dad, and I'm your kid, and I am just singing loud, obnoxious after you've been out cutting hair from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. all day, grinding, attacking. I'm singing like crazy, and you're just all like, hey, stop, you're super loud, you don't have a good voice, I don't want to hear it right now. And then she's going to make the agreement in herself, her system is going to create an agreement where it's like, oh I'm loud and I don't have a good voice. Maybe she likes singing, maybe he likes singing, whatever. I like singing, I guess. Then I might never ever pursue singing in front of people, or I might become very introverted and not be public because of an agreement I made based off someone else saying something. And then how you were saying that whatever someone is saying that's kind of in your space, it's a reflection of what you're saying to yourself. And so if I'm making an agreement based off of what someone else said, it's really I'm making an agreement of how I am to be. And so only me is making those chains. Only me is making those agreements, and I'm also the only one that is able to break free of them. And it's that awareness and that piece of actually deciphering what the chains are in order to identify the plan to attack, to break the chains. In which case, that's where the being impeccable with your word comes through, because if you're not impeccable with your word, then you're talking to yourself. You're probably taking things personally. I mean, I kind of went through that a little bit this week, of just a lot of things happen out of my control, and then I wasn't really in the space to be very objective about them in the moment. And I made an assumption, took something personally, in which case, therefore, I wasn't being impeccable with my word, and therefore, I wasn't doing my best to uphold the other three. So that's how it's a snowball. Mm-hmm. It's nuts.
Man, if you were my son and you were singing loud,
yeah,
I would be dancing. Because my kids sing very loud, and I love to dance for them.
That's awesome.
Or I'll join them along and I'll sing along. I would never tell my son he's a bad singer.
Right.
He'd probably say it he was for himself versus me. Because I'm definitely one to encourage. Mm-hmm. So you'd be the best singer on this planet Earth if you sang very loudly.
You see me, I've only done karaoke once.
Yeah,
I
dude,
sang,
I think it's fun.
Yeah, it was in college. I was at Froggy's, and Friday night is their karaoke night, and I sang Shining Star by Earth, Wind & Fire. And I had a high pitch, you're a shining star, but it didn't matter who you are.
Nice.
Shining bright to see. Yeah, I got it. It was sweet.
Yeah, buddy.
It was awesome. I haven't done it since. I think Chris Brown would do more karaoke, but I probably could.
I'm on some Friends in Low Places type of karaoke, man. I've been getting into Journey a lot here lately. Dude, I'm finding out these bands now, because when I grew up, you were an outcast. You were like...
Who's an outcast?
If you listen to 80s music where I grew up in.
Where did you grow up?
In South Texas.
Okay.
South Texas. Little town called Falfurrias, Texas. Okay. About an hour from Laredo. So if you listen to any of that, if you weren't into rap, basically, you were weird. You were bullied. You were picked on. But man, I want to kind of get back on track.
Right.
We talked about failure to plan. Interestingly enough, that has been one of my biggest downfalls, but it's never been the reason why I didn't have enough. Because I do follow a faith. And in Scripture, in Matthew, it talks about, in Matthew chapter 9, verses 35 through 38, it talks about Jesus going into the cities and into the synagogues, and he was healing people who were helpless, people who were lost without a shepherd. And there he was. And he told his disciples, I mean, in every city you go to, there's people in need, there's people who are hungry or sick or just needing someone for guidance. We talk about plans where the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. So there's plenty of work to be done, but there's not a lot of people willing to step into that role. And so when I decide to step into a role that there's a need, which is why I chose to I didn't choose it. It was already laid out for me because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to cut hair for a long time. But I was just really good at it, and then people paid me a lot of money for it, and I was like, well, I got to figure something out with this. And then I started realizing that the work it's starting to come to me now. Like, I'm seeing the other side of it where I was working so hard to get clients. Now it's like, I don't even want to deal with so many people because I don't know if I could even handle all that. Now, this is me at 27 years old talking that way.
Right.
You know, when I'm older, I might have a different perspective,
Totally.
which I'm not closed off to anything.
Right.
But in this moment, there's plenty of work. It's just, where am I to be? Who am I to be in front of? Because he wasn't everywhere all the time. He was in specific locations, strategically moving, sending people to go here, to go there. He's like an ultra just view of the type of healing that needed to be done so that it was done efficiently. He only had 3 years of ministry. And so it's like, in those 3 years, he wasn't ever like, this is the plan. This is what I'm going to do. He would actually go to his father, and he would do that in secret. He would do that early in the morning. Just, Dad, what we got today?
Right.
And I'm looking for that in my son.
Looking for him to keep you accountable?
Looking for him to take the initiative to say, what do we have to do today? You mentioned earlier with, we ask him to do something, and they're like, or why?
Right.
Or no. My son is pivoting at 6 years old in a way that he's starting to take smaller steps of initiative where it's not even asking him. He just knows. Right? I don't have to ask someone for a haircut. I know they need a haircut.
Right.
You know, I know that someone messed you up. I know that you had a bad encounter with it. I can tell just by how you stand and sit and how your confidence is with your tone and speech.
Right.
I can tell with gestures of how someone is. And a haircut paints a story.
Yeah.
It's a complete story for me. Either you don't know quality,
right.
or you do know quality.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's like you talking about that, the stature, how they present themselves, the tone, the way that they're carrying themselves, the way they're sitting in the chair, the way that they're conversating with you. I was listening to a podcast on a drive to Conway the other day, and it was talking about how a person's energy is a reflection of their state of mind. In which case, what is going on internally is going to get reflected through everything else that people are actually seeing. People really, I mean, what we see on the outside, what I see with this version of Jesus sitting in front of me, it's going to be a different version tomorrow, different version in 10 minutes, is the fruits of what was nurtured from seeds in the soil, from roots of a tree. And people don't like to look at the roots. They don't really, I mean, they want to know what it takes, but they aren't willing to be consistent in the habit of it. There's another part of that podcast that was really cool where it was talking about people who want to get fit, get exercise. They want to go run 10K or something, and they're only going to go run twice a week to prep. But then on the flip side, I was like, well, imagine if you were only hanging out with your wife twice a week. How would that go? Would you get to where it wanted to be? Would that relationship prosper as well as if you had a relationship, you want to have a relationship with running, and you want to get to a certain point, you have a goal in mind, but you're only tending to it twice a day or twice a week. I mean, think about all the other things. It's not going to work as well. And yet we talk to our significant others probably like multiple times a day. Phone calls, in person, with kids, all these different settings. We're constantly nurturing that aspect day in, day out, every single day. And yet people, when they want to try and change habits with food, or they want to change habits with exercise, or whatever it is they got going on in their life, they only do it a couple days of the week and think that's consistent enough. That was just something that popped in my head.
Man, you know, I'm an anomaly to that, honestly. I am an anomaly. I've gone from 1 mile to 10 miles overnight.
Yeah.
Literally overnight.
Yeah.
My brother was on Memorial Day is when my running journey actually started.
Right.
And I can literally trace back to that day where my haircuts changed completely. Because it was during that run where I was starting to see people in a different way. It's almost as if I'm taking on the role that I'm giving you an image of how God sees you. Right? If I am a reflection of him, then I see you as he sees you. Someone told me earlier, I cut hair for this doctor early this morning, and I was asking him a little bit about his faith, just curious, because he's a very intelligent man, trauma surgeon. So this guy was in the military. He was a surgeon in the military. And so it's like, you've seen a lot. You've been through a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot going on. And so I had asked him about his faith, and he had said, well, Jesus meets you right where you are. And I thought, okay, if he was a representation of that, can I meet you right where you're at? And I'll take it literal.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at your house.
Right.
You can meet me at my house. I can meet you at your office. I can meet you wherever we need. I'll meet you right where you're at.
Right.
And if I'm doing that, whatever comes after, it's so much easier to navigate a conversation that might have some tough things to do. Because my conversations are not simple, how's your day going?
Right.
I mean, I'm quick I'm quick to jump into it, because who else is? Are you getting any of that? And if you are, have you reached the point where you've had to shut it off because it's too much for you to talk about right now? Or maybe you're not comfortable with it. Because again, for me, the haircut paints a story of who you are. And I also get to see you in that manner. I meet you right where you're at. Whether your hair's dirty or clean, whether it's shaggy or you just got your haircut 2 weeks ago or a week ago, this is right where I'm meeting you. And so it really challenges me that no matter how much rest I get, no matter what I ate, if I have heartburn or if I got to use the restroom while I'm cutting your hair, I have to shut everything off of that.
Right.
And completely exist in just the haircut. And it always, anytime I start doing a haircut, it's my first haircut of the day. No matter what happened to me the day prior, the night prior, the conversations I had with my wife on the way to, it all goes away and I get into this flow mode.
Do you have a specific routine or some kind of system or what? How do you clear the mechanism? How do you separate that? Because that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is separating. Like I get patients here. I'll ask them when they're pre-resting. I'll ask them, what are you thinking about in the chair just now? They're like, oh, so many things. I couldn't stop. I had all these thoughts going on in my head.
Yeah.
They struggle with it.
And what is your question to me?
The question is, how do you separate the your at-home life, things that have been going on, things that you're working through? It's kind of where this even started, to kind of bring this full circle. Things we're working through, meeting people where they're at. I was thinking about that. You're thinking in a much more like non-tangible, like intangible way, like where they're at in life with everything. How do we separate that from actually showing up for others and doing the duty essentially at need in that moment?
There's a lot of ways that I can go about it, because there's different ways that I can explain it. But in regards to what I do for a living as barbering, I'm going to use it as an example. When I look at someone's hair and it looks really bad, I never think there's nothing I can do for this guy. It's always, we all have so many thoughts in our head.
90,000 a day.
So many thoughts. There's a switch. The reason why I went from 1 mile to 10 miles is because I said I can. The reason why I can go from having the roughest time, a stranger can knock on a door and I would be, how can I help you? Because I don't ever look at a situation and think this is the end all be all.
Right.
You know, Jesus steps in, he was a carpenter. So he took something that was completely destroyed or looked nasty and made it new, made it nice.
Yeah.
It looked good. And I'm trying to tap into a Christ consciousness to be able to, that at any given time, no matter the circumstance, I can look at a way to either improve or move forward, which I struggle with it with myself. But what earlier you had asked me a question to give and help me, I immediately said, surely somebody else can benefit from this. So I do struggle with myself, but with anything else and everybody else, that's pretty cool. That I just showed myself that I've got room to grow. But with everything else, I can literally just like flip a switch and boom, okay, I forgive you, let's keep going.
Right.
You know?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's two things that came up as we probably wrap this up, this little free flow, just being raw and real. with what's life been throwing our ways is the concept of abundance, of receiving values. That was part of the book, None of Your Business, where it's like if I offered to, like, this happens to me all the time, where people offer to buy me like lunch or buy me coffee, and I was like, oh no, it's okay, I can do it. When really I could just say, you know what, thank you. Appreciate that. Eventually it's going to come back to them. It might not even come back from just me, where they might have the expectation or the tunnel vision almost, where it's like, oh, I bought this person coffee, next time he's going to buy me coffee.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you just kind of do that giving act of, hey, I'm going to give Tony a tea and make him a tea, somehow, some way, it's going to, in a different probably form of energy, I'm going to receive something, not necessarily from him, not necessarily from you or from the two people I got walking into the office later today. It could be from anyone, anything, but just the act of actually giving without the expectation of getting, because it's not what you get, it's what you give. It's not who you are, it's how you live. That act, that's just, it's stimulating energy flow and just reality, universe, everything. And then eventually it comes back. It's a law of reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Yeah. Where that's just, it's gonna happen. Just trusting that's gonna happen. I forget what the other flow of thought was, but that was a pretty good one that just came out of my head. But yes. Oh, lastly, to wrap things up. Meeting people where they're at right now. So right now we're sitting in the office, in the clinic, those specific chiropractic centers. It is 9:00 on a Friday. We're recording this. But where are you at? Where am I at? Where are we at? Not physically speaking, though. What's our wavelength? What's our frequency? Where is your energy at in this day that you're getting?
I'm still climbing to the prime. I'm still reaching. I have not found prime yet. I know I've got a lot more to give. I know I've got a lot that I am giving. I'm everywhere, and I'm there for everyone right now.
Yeah.
For the ones that are put in front of me. Like I was saying earlier, the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. I'm very young in the game. You and I both.
Right.
You know, we're still both in our 20s.
Right.
And I feel like I've been doing this for an eternity. Because of how deep I can get with people, it seems like I'm adding more life to myself because of whether it's burdens, successes, trials, or triumphs. It almost adds to my age, my beyond
Wisdom.
physical.
Yeah, experience values.
And because of that, I feel like my eyes can droop a little more. I tend to have a little bit more saggy eyes. You know, I think a lot more about these people than just a haircut. Like I'm having conversations with my son about something that I learned from here, and I think about it when I'm with my wife, and I introduce this person into the conversation and what happened and why I'm even talking about it. And so when beyond physical, I think I won't even reach my prime till I'm in like my 60s or 70s as far as like how I want to coordinate the same way Christ did in those 3 years of ministry of you go here, you go here, you go here. I've got a long way to go. So it's high performance, it's high energy, it's a lot of love, a lot of love, and that's what I'm instructed to do. I don't know my plans, to be honest. I don't even know what next week will hold.
Right.
But whatever it is, I will approach it with love, and I'll approach it with to meet people right where they're at. Honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, that's from firsthand experience. I mean, that's what people feel when they're in your chair, too, and that's what people feel when they interact with you. Whenever they do just have conversations with you, they probably don't have conversations of that depth with probably really anyone else. So yeah, definitely admirable in doing that and everything. Is there any last thoughts before we sign off here?
Yeah, sure. I'm excited for both of us for how our tones will be the next time we do this again.
Yeah.
Because of my situation and going through things, I can sense, and even when I hear myself, When I'm speaking, sometimes I feel like I'm above me, and I almost like feel pity, like I'm expressing a tone that doesn't reflect what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And so I'm excited for the next time that will be something I will continue to improve on.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing I told you with my son, with what I was trying to improve on with him. Fixing the little things. I'm sorry I even spoke to you that way. And it's not because I wanted for you to feel that way, but that's just how it come out because of the weight of just being in the position of fatherhood, husbandhood, brotherhood.
Juggling all the roles you have to play.
So.
Looking forward to the tone, because that is a reflection of where we are at.
We got to set the tone, man.
Dude,
we got to set the tone.
Let's go set the tone. We definitely set the tone today.
Yes,
People
sir.
are about to be thinking for the rest of the day after they listen to this. So, pleasure as always. This is wonderful, man. Little handshake.
Dude.
Thank you. Good times as
That
always.
was cool.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys need to get connected with my man Jesus, get the hair right, get the cut right, change your tone towards your life, change your energy, your frequency, the wavelength that you are operating at. Give this man a holler, because he'll definitely change your whole persona in just the flick of a switch. Until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Hope we nourished everybody's energy and tones and frequencies today. Let's flip a switch, let's turn it back on, and let's get moving and grooving for the rest of the year and start generating momentum for not just this year, but also 2024. Let's get that thing going.
Too easy.
Much love. All right, then. Signing off. Till next time, y'all. See ya. We hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Happier, Healthier Arkansas. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your guys' support. Please click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thank you for joining us.
And if you're on a mission to help make Arkansas happier, healthier with us, again, please feel free to share this with anyone that you know, so that way we can continue to help perpetuate the mission of making Arkansas the happiest, healthiest state on the entire planet.
Until next time, see ya!